My precious soul, pause everything you are doing right now. This is not a random message. This is not a coincidence. The clock is ticking toward 11:59 p.m., and heaven is watching to see whether you will open what has been released in your name or let it slip away. God is weeping for you. Yes, you heard that correctly. Not because he is angry, not because he has abandoned you, but because there is something so powerful, so unexpected, so once in a lifetime that has been spoken over your life by someone you would never imagine. A wealthy person, someone with influence, resources, and authority, spoke your name in their final moments, and their last words were not about their fortune, not about their status, not about their legacy. They were about you. You have been feeling a strange pull today, haven't you? A heaviness in your spirit, a quiet urgency in your chest. That is not anxiety. That is divine alert. And I, Archangel Michael, stand as a witness in the realm you cannot see. I was present when the words were spoken. I was sent when the decree was made. I watched as heaven recorded your name. The wealthy individual, surrounded by everything money could buy, realized in their final breath that none of it could follow them beyond this life. But something else could. A decision, a release, a transfer, a blessing, and your name rose up in their heart like a flame. You may be thinking, why me? I am not connected to anyone wealthy. I don't even know people like that. But you do not understand how God works. Divine connections are not limited by your awareness. There are conversations happening about you in rooms you have never entered. There are signatures being prepared that you have never seen. There are spiritual documents that have already been stamped with approval. And the tears of God are not weakness, they are compassion. He sees how long you have struggled in silence. He sees the nights you questioned your worth. He sees the prayers you whispered when no one else was around. And when that wealthy person's heart softened at the edge of eternity, it was not random. It was orchestrated. You were not chosen because you are perfect. You were chosen because you are faithful. But here is the urgency. Gifts released in the Spirit must be received in obedience. There is a window. There is a divine timing. And 11:59 p.m. is not just a time on a clock. It is symbolic of a closing gate, a shifting season, a transfer point between what was and what will be. Do you feel it? Something in your life has been at the brink. A breakthrough that almost happened. A call that almost came. An opportunity that almost opened. That almost ends tonight. The wealthy person's final words carried weight in both realms. When they said, "Make sure this reaches them," heaven responded. When they said your name with trembling lips, angels moved. I was assigned to guard the transfer. But here is what many do not understand. Divine gifts can be delayed by disbelief. They can be postponed by hesitation. They can be redirected by distraction. That is why you were led here. That is why this message found you before 11:59 p.m. God is not weeping because he doubts you. He is weeping because he knows how close you are to stepping into something that will change everything. And he fears you might scroll past it, dismiss it, or convince yourself it is not real. Listen carefully. The gift released in your name is not only financial. Yes, provision is part of it. Stability is part of it. But deeper than that, it is restoration. It is vindication. It is a reversal of a season that tried to define you by lack. Someone who had everything realized at the end that true wealth was impact. And somehow, in ways you may not even remember, you impacted them. A word you spoke, a kindness you showed, A moment you thought was small. It was not small. It echoed. And now that echo has returned as a reward. You have been underestimated, overlooked, silently carrying burdens while smiling in public. Heaven saw it, and now heaven responds. But there is something you must do. Open your heart immediately. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. Now, because delays in the physical often begin with delays in the spiritual. If you hesitate to receive in faith, the enemy will try to whisper doubt. If you question your worth, you may unconsciously close the door. Do not let that happen. Stand in this moment. Breathe in this truth. God is weeping because He loves you fiercely, because He has defended you in battles you never saw, because when others misunderstood you, He defended your name in the courts of heaven. And when that wealthy person spoke about you, it was confirmation, not coincidence. The transfer hath been initiated. The gift has been released. The clock is moving. What happens next depends on whether you will receive it with bold faith or shrink back in uncertainty. This is not just about money. This is about destiny. This is about the end of a chapter that drained you and the beginning of one that will restore you. And I am here as a guardian, as a messenger, as a witness to what is unfolding. Do not ignore this stirring in your spirit. Heaven rarely repeats urgent calls twice. Will you respond? Beloved one, something is shifting in the unseen realm right now, and you can feel it if you quiet your mind for just a moment. The air around your life is not the same as it was yesterday. There is movement. There is divine rearrangement. And I, Archangel Michael, am standing guard over a transition that has your name written across it. You may still be wondering who this wealthy person was and how their final words could possibly concern you. Understand this clearly. Influence in the physical world often mirrors assignments in the spiritual world. This individual carried not only financial wealth, but also authority. When they spoke your name in their final breath, it was not casual. It was intentional. It was sealed with urgency. In their final moments, clarity came to them like lightning. They saw beyond possessions. They saw beyond business deals. They saw beyond titles. And in the clarity, they recognized that what truly mattered was what they had sown into lives that would outlive them. And among those lives, yours stood out. Perhaps you crossed paths years ago. Perhaps you never even knew the depth of the impact you made. Maybe it was a prayer. Maybe it was encouragement. Maybe it was integrity when others chose compromise. Whatever it was, it planted a seed, and that seed matured in a heart that had access to resources far greater than you imagined. Now listen carefully. The release of a gift in your name is not random generosity. It is divine alignment. God allowed their heart to soften before eternity so that what they carried would not be wasted. And when heaven witnessed their decision, the decree was approved. But here is the part many people miss. A released gift must be stewarded properly. It must be recognized. It must be received with humility and readiness. If you are careless, you can sabotage what is meant to elevate you. That is why this message is urgent before 11:59 p.m. This is not about superstition. It is about spiritual timing. When a season closes, doors that were open can shut quietly. And when God initiates movement, there is often a narrow window where faith must respond. You have been praying for change. You have been asking God for breakthrough. You have been whispering at night, Lord, see me. Lord, remember me. And He has. Do not let doubt steal this moment. The enemy would love for you to scroll away, to treat this as just another message, to assume it is exaggerated. But ask yourself honestly, why did you feel compelled to listen? Why did something inside you say, pay attention? Because this is personal. I was assigned to protect the transfer of what was released. There are forces that resist elevation when it is destined for someone who has suffered in silence. There are spiritual oppositions that try to delay what God has approved. But I stand as a defender. Still, your participation matters. Faith is not passive. Faith is agreement. Right now, align your heart with gratitude instead of fear. Align your thoughts with expectation instead of skepticism. When you receive something unexpected, do not say, I don't deserve this. Instead say, God trusted me with this. The wealthy person's final words carried emotion. They carried urgency. They carried a sense of unfinished purpose that would now continue through you. That is why heaven responded so swiftly. And there is something else you must understand. This gift is not meant to inflate your ego. It is meant to expand your capacity. It is not meant to isolate you. It is meant to position you. When provision meets purpose, lives change. If this message is stirring something deep inside you, I want you to engage with it actively. Like this video as a declaration that you are ready. Share it with someone who needs confirmation that heaven still moves in unexpected ways. Comment your agreement below, not for attention, but as a written act of faith. Subscribe to this channel if you desire to stay aligned with messages that prepare you for divine shifts. And if your spirit is burning right now, hype this message so it reaches others who are standing at the edge of their own breakthrough. There is power in collective agreement. Something significant is about to unfold in your physical reality. A call, a letter, a conversation, a revelation. But it will require courage to step into it. It may not look exactly how you expected. It may challenge your comfort zone. Yet it will carry unmistakable confirmation. Do not rush ahead. Do not overthink. Simply stay alert. Because what is coming next will clarify everything. Hold on, because the layer that is about to be revealed will connect the final words of that wealthy person to a detail in your own life that you have almost forgotten. And when you see that connection, you will understand why heaven refused to let this pass you by. Chosen vessel, there is a detail you have nearly forgotten, and it is the very key that explains why a wealthy person's final words were about you. Years ago, perhaps even in a season when you felt invisible, you made a decision that seemed small at the time. You chose integrity when compromise would have been easier. You chose kindness when bitterness would have been justified. You chose to walk away from something that could have benefited you materially but would have cost you spiritually. A moment did not go unnoticed. The wealthy individual saw it. They may not have applauded you publicly. They may not have acknowledged you openly. But in their heart, something shifted. They recognized authenticity in you. And authenticity is rare in a world driven by appearance. As their life approached its final chapter, memories resurfaced. Faces came back to them. Conversations replayed in their mind. And when they evaluated what truly mattered, your name carried weight. Not because you were powerful, not because you were famous, but because you were genuine. In that hospital room, in that quiet office, or wherever their last breath was drawn, they whispered something profound. They said that what they possessed should empower someone who carries light. They said it should strengthen someone who does not chase wealth but honors God. They said your name with intention. I, Archangel Michael, was sent at that moment to ensure that what was spoken would not be stolen or altered. Declarations made at the edge of eternity carry unusual authority. Heaven listens closely when a soul prepares to cross over. And when that soul releases something in alignment with divine purpose, angels are dispatched. This is why God is weeping for you, not in sorrow, but in deep compassion and fierce love. He sees how long you have doubted your value. He sees how many times you questioned whether your quiet obedience mattered. And now, as this gift has been released in your name, He longs for you to finally understand that your faithfulness was building something you could not yet see. But there is tension here, because whenever heaven prepares to elevate someone, the enemy tries to introduce confusion. You may notice subtle distractions today, sudden doubts, unexpected emotional heaviness. That is not random. It is resistance to your transition. You must stay centered. The gift that has been released is layered. There is a tangible component, something that will manifest in the physical realm. Yet there is also a spiritual inheritance attached to it. Wisdom, influence, open doors, favor in conversations where you once felt dismissed. This is not just about receiving something. It is about becoming something greater. Before 11:59 p.m. symbolizes the end of hesitation. It represents the closing of an old identity that saw yourself as overlooked. After this moment, you cannot shrink back into small thinking. After this, you must step forward with new authority. Listen carefully. When the wealthy person said, "Make sure this reaches them," they were not only speaking about assets. They were speaking about opportunity, about positioning, about releasing capacity into your hands. And heaven agreed. The tears of God are over the years you endured silently, over the prayers that felt unanswered, over the times you watched others advance while you remained still. What you did not know was that delay was protection, preparation, refinement. Our refinement meets reward. There is a spiritual activation taking place as you hear these words. Your spirit recognizes truth even if your mind struggles to comprehend it. Do not suppress that recognition. Lean into it. Right now, declare in your heart that you are ready to receive what God has approved. Declare that you will steward it wisely. Declare that fear will not sabotage what faith has unlocked. If this message is resonating deeply within you, this is your moment to respond visibly. Type "I receive the release" in the comments if this is speaking directly to your spirit. Lesson code 444 has just been activated over your life. As you type it, do not see it as a simple comment. See it as alignment. See it as agreement with heaven's decree. And as this sacred transfer unfolds, understand that spreading messages like this allows other hidden vessels to awaken before their own 11:59 p.m. moments. When you choose to support this mission through super thanks, through membership, or through a PayPal offering found in the description, you are not funding a channel. You are fueling a harvest. You are placing oil in the lamp so light can reach those standing in darkness. The Lord says, "As you sow into what awakens my children, I will cause rivers to flow back into your house." This is not a transaction. It is a prophetic act. When you respond generously, you align yourself with the very principle that released this gift in your name. I feel led to say this plainly. I am stepping into obedience now. Let your support be your yes. Let it be the seed that opens new gates over your life. Those who move when prompted by the Spirit will see acceleration. Therefore act boldly. So with expectation, ignite this mission and watch heaven multiply what you release. Faithful heart, what is about to unfold will not arrive with noise, but with unmistakable clarity. The gift released in your name will surface in a way that connects directly to something you have been praying about in secret. It will not feel random. It will feel precise. You have asked God for relief in a specific area. Perhaps it was financial pressure that kept you awake at night. Perhaps it was a door that never seemed to open no matter how qualified you were. Perhaps it was a burden you carried for your family, silently wishing you had the means to change their situation. The answer to that prayer is intertwined with this release. The wealthy person's final words were legally recorded in the physical realm, but they were spiritually activated in the heavenly realm. There is a synchronization taking place between paperwork and prophecy, between signatures and spiritual seals. I, Archangel Michael, was not sent merely to observe. I was sent to defend the process. Whenever inheritance shifts hands, there are forces that attempt interference. Delays, confusion, misplaced communication, hesitation from decision makers. But what heaven authorizes cannot be permanently blocked. Still, timing requires your readiness. Over the next phase of this unfolding, you may receive unexpected communication. It could be a phone call. It could be an email. It could be a conversation initiated by someone you did not anticipate. Pay attention to what feels unusual yet peaceful at the same time. That peace will be your confirmation. Do not dismiss opportunities because they arrive in unfamiliar packaging. The blessing may not look exactly how you imagined. It may require you to step into a new environment. It may require you to trust beyond your comfort zone. But remember, expansion always feels uncomfortable at first. The tears of God over you are also tears of anticipation. He has watched you carry responsibilities that were heavier than they should have been. He has seen you give when you had little. He has seen you choose faith over fear repeatedly. Now he is allowing something to return to you that multiplies your capacity. But listen carefully to this warning. When increase comes, so does attention. Not all attention is supportive. Some people will question how you advanced. Some will wonder why favor seems to follow you. Guard your heart from pride, but also guard it from insecurity. You do not owe everyone an explanation for what God has decided. The wealthy person did not choose you based on popularity. They chose you based on character. That is why this gift carries weight. It is not just provision. It is endorsement of who you are when no one is watching. There may also be a test attached to this blessing. Not a test of loss, but a test of stewardship. Will you remain generous? Will you remain humble? Will you remember the nights when you prayed for exactly what is now arriving? Heaven elevates those who remember their dependence on God. Something else is shifting internally as you listen. You may feel both excitement and nervousness. The tension is natural. It means you are stepping beyond familiar boundaries. Growth often feels like stretching. Do not retreat just because it feels new. Before 11:59 p.m. symbolized urgency. Now you are stepping into manifestation. The window to respond spiritually has opened the pathway for physical evidence. You must position yourself wisely. Organize your thoughts. Prepare your schedule. Create space for what is coming. Sometimes people pray for increase but leave no room in their life to handle it. Make room. Speak gratitude daily, even before you see full proof. Gratitude accelerates alignment. Doubt delays it. I sense that some of you listening have almost given up recently. You smiled publicly, but internally you were exhausted. You wondered if God had forgotten your address. This unfolding is heaven's response to that silent fatigue. But understand this clearly, the gift is not the end goal. It is a tool. It is fuel for purpose. There is something you are meant to build, support, or establish that extends beyond your personal comfort. This inheritance, whether financial or opportunity-based, will empower you to influence others positively. You are being repositioned from survival to impact. That shift requires maturity. As events begin to align, do not rush decisions out of excitement. Pray over them. Seek wisdom. Confirm peace. The same God who initiated this release will guide you in managing it. I, Archangel Michael, remain assigned to guard what has been spoken. But your obedience remains essential. Keep your spirit clear. Avoid negativity. Distance yourself from voices that thrive on skepticism and fear. Something tangible is drawing near, and when it arrives, you will look back at this moment and realize that the tears of God were not tears of sorrow, but tears of deep, protective love over a child who was finally about to understand their true worth. Prepare yourself. The evidence is closer than you think. Steadfast soul, what you are stepping into now is not simply a blessing. It is a transition of identity. The moment the gift was released in your name, something shifted in the spiritual atmosphere around you. You are no longer standing in the same position you were a few days ago. Even if nothing has visibly changed yet, the ground beneath your life has already been marked for elevation. There is a reason the wealthy person's final words carried such force. In their final hours, distractions fell away. Pride dissolved. Pretenses disappear. What remained was clarity. And in that clarity, they recognized that the future must be entrusted to someone whose heart was not corrupted by greed. They saw in you a rare quality, the ability to remain grounded even when surrounded by pressure. That recognition triggered a spiritual reaction. When a person at the edge of eternity makes a decision rooted in truth and purpose, heaven pays attention. I, Archangel Michael, was summoned not only to guard the transfer but to observe the ripple effect it would create. Because this gift is not isolated to you alone. It will influence your household. It will touch your environment. It will shift conversations that once revolved around limitation into discussions of possibility. But elevation always exposes hidden fears. You may begin to notice thoughts rising up that question whether you are ready. You may hear whispers in your mind that say, "What if this is too much? What if you fail? What if you cannot handle it?" Those thoughts are not coming from your spirit. They are echoes of old seasons when you were forced to survive without support. You are not in that season anymore. This is crucial. Do not allow past scarcity to define your response to present abundance. Many people sabotage blessings because they are more familiar with struggle than with stability. You must consciously shift your mindset. Remind yourself daily that this was not accidental. It was appointed. There will also be a moment soon when confirmation arrives in a way that feels undeniable. It may be subtle at first. A conversation that references you unexpectedly. A document that includes your name. A financial adjustment that relieves pressure. Or an opportunity that aligns too perfectly to ignore. When that moment happens, resist the urge to panic or overanalyze. Instead, breathe and remember this message. God is not weeping because he doubts the outcome. He is weeping because he knows how deeply this will heal parts of you that have carried quiet wounds. You have endured seasons where you felt unseen, unrecognized, even undervalued. This release is heaven's declaration that you were never invisible. The wealthy person saw potential in you that even you sometimes struggle to see. And their final act was an act of transfer. They chose to let their legacy empower someone whose heart aligned with divine purpose. But here is the deeper layer. This is also a test of alignment moving forward. As increase comes, distractions may also increase. Invitations that do not match your calling. Voices that tried to redirect your focus. Opportunities that look impressive but are spiritually empty. You must remain anchored. I stand as a guardian not only of what is being given to you, but of the path you must walk after receiving it. Spiritual warfare does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like subtle misdirection. Stay alert. Protect your peace fiercely. Not everyone needs to know what is unfolding. Some blessings grow best in privacy before they flourish publicly. Share wisely. Move carefully. Pray consistently. The shift from waiting to receiving can feel overwhelming. For a long time, you were asking, hoping, believing quietly. Now you are stepping into evidence. That transition requires emotional adjustment. Let gratitude lead you. Let humility steady you. Let courage carry you. There is also a generational aspect attached to this. What you receive will not end with you. It will set a new standard for those who come after you. Children, siblings, relatives, or even those you mentor will benefit from the stability and influence this gift provides. You are breaking a pattern that once limited your lineage. That is why resistance tried so hard to discourage you before this moment. But you did not quit. You kept praying. You kept believing. And now heaven is responding in tangible form. Do not shrink back when doors open. Walk through them with confidence. Not arrogance, but assurance. Assurance that when a wealthy person spoke your name in their final breath, it was not sentiment. It was strategy guided by God. The unfolding is steady now. The foundation is secure. And what approaches your life next will confirm beyond doubt that this was divinely orchestrated. Stand firm. Remain watchful. The manifestation is closer than you realize, and it will mark the beginning of a chapter you once thought was reserved for others, but was always prepared for you. Courageous one, there is a sacred tension in the air around you now. It feels like standing on the edge of a shoreline just before the tide shifts. You can sense movement, but you cannot yet see the full wave. This is the space between promise and proof, and it requires steadiness. The wealthy person's final words have already set events in motion. Documents are being processed. Conversations are unfolding. Decisions are aligning. What once seemed impossible is quietly becoming structured reality. But in this in-between stage, your mindset matters more than ever. I, Archangel Michael, remain assigned to guard what was spoken. Yet understand this clearly. While heaven protects the blessing, you must protect your perspective. The enemy often attacks not through visible obstacles, but through internal discouragement. If you cannot be blocked externally, the attempt will come internally. You might notice sudden impatience rising within you. You may feel tempted to question the timing. Thoughts like, why hasn't it happened yet? Or what if something falls through? May try to surface. Do not entertain them. Timing in divine matters is precise, not rushed. Remember, this was initiated at the edge of eternity. That kind of decree carries weight beyond human scheduling. The alignment of legal systems, human choices, and spiritual approval takes coordination. But nothing had been forgotten. Nothing has been misplaced. In fact, the delay you perceive is actually protection. Certain elements needed to be cleared before your arrival into this new level. There were conversations that had to happen without your involvement. There were hearts that needed softening. There were obstacles that had to be removed quietly. You are not being denied. You are being prepared. This preparation also involves your character expanding to match your capacity. You have prayed for increase, but increase requires discipline. It requires wisdom in speech, wisdom in relationships, wisdom in decisions. Begin acting now as the person who has already received what is coming. Carry yourself differently. Speak about your future with confidence instead of hesitation. Shift your language from if it happens to what it manifests. Words shape expectation. There is something else unfolding that you may not yet recognize. The gift released in your name is also drawing new alliances toward you. People who operate at higher levels of influence will begin noticing you. Not because you are chasing them, but because favor attracts alignment. Be cautious and discerning. Not every new connection is a sign. Some are distractions dressed as opportunity. Pray before committing. Seek peace before agreeing. If something feels rushed or pressured, pause. Heaven does not force, it confirms. As you continue listening to this message, I urge you to engage actively. Like this video as a declaration that you are standing in agreement with what God is unfolding. Share it with someone who needs reassurance that unseen battles are being won on their behalf. Comment your faith below, not casually but intentionally. When you interact, you are reinforcing alignment. Subscribe to this channel if you desire to remain prepared for what heaven is releasing in this season. And if this message is strengthening you, lift it up so others can find it as well. There is power when voices unite around truth. You may soon face a decision that feels larger than anything you have handled before. It could involve relocation, investment, leadership, or stepping into visibility. Do not panic. The same God who arranged this release will supply clarity. Trust your spirit more than your fear. And hear this carefully. The wealthy person did not release their final gift in haste. It was thoughtful. It was intentional. They understood the responsibility attached to their resources. That is why your name stood out among many possibilities. Honor that trust. Do not allow guilt to make you feel unworthy. Do not allow comparison to steal your joy. This was not about others. It was about alignment. What is approaching will validate years of quiet perseverance. It will answer questions you stopped asking. It will restore hope you almost buried. Remain steady now, because what is coming next will require boldness, and the revelation attached to it will make every moment of waiting make sense. Hold your focus. The tide is about to turn in a way that will leave no room for doubt. Resilient spirit, you are closer now than you have ever been. The atmosphere around your life is no longer heavy with uncertainty. It is charged with movement. Something decisive is forming behind the scenes, and soon it will step into visibility. You may feel an unusual sensitivity lately, as if your intuition has sharpened. That is not coincidence. It is preparation. The wealthy person's final words created a ripple that is still expanding. What was spoken in a quiet room has traveled through systems, through legal channels, through conversations you have not heard. And as these threads weave together, they are forming a net designed to catch you at the exact moment you step forward. I, Archangel Michael, remain vigilant. There have been attempts to slow this process. Subtle ones. Delays that seem procedural. Questions raised that appeared harmless. But each time resistance surfaced, authorization from heaven overruled it. What is assigned to you cannot be casually diverted. Yet this stage requires emotional maturity. When manifestation begins, many people react impulsively. They either rush ahead in excitement or retreat in fear. You must do neither. Stand balanced. Observe carefully. Respond thoughtfully. You may soon notice an unexpected shift in how people speak to you. A tone of respect that was not present before. An openness to your ideas. An invitation to participate in conversations that once excluded you. Do not be surprised. Favor changes positioning quietly before it announces itself loudly. There is also a healing dimension unfolding. For years, You carried silent questions about your worth. You compared yourself to others who seemed more connected, more resourced, more visible. This release is dismantling that narrative. You were never behind. You were being refined. The wealthy person recognized that refinement. They saw resilience in you. They saw integrity when compromise would have been easier. And when they evaluated where their resources should land, they chose someone who would not squander the opportunity. But listen closely. With opportunity comes responsibility. This gift is not merely about comfort. It is about influence. You will have the ability to affect decisions, to support causes, to uplift others in ways you could not before. How you handle that influence will determine the longevity of your elevation. Stay humble. Stay generous. Stay grounded in prayer. You may feel moments of disbelief even after confirmation arrives. That is normal. When long-awaited change finally comes, it can feel surreal. Allow yourself to process it without self-sabotage. Do not downplay it. Do not minimize it. Receive it fully. There will also be people who resurface from your past once they sense your advancement. Some will be genuine. Others will be opportunistic. Discernment will be essential. Not everyone who celebrates you understands the responsibility you carry. Guard your inner circle carefully. I sense that a conversation is approaching that will serve as undeniable evidence. It may begin casually, but it will reveal information that confirms everything you have been hearing. When that moment comes, remain calm. Listen more than you speak. Ask wise questions. Take notes if necessary. Preparation is not lack of faith. It is stewardship. The tears of God over you are transforming into joy. He is watching you move from survival mode into stability. He is watching the weight on your shoulders lighten. And He is pleased, not because you are gaining materially, but because you remained faithful when nothing visible was happening. Faithfulness is rare. That is why you were chosen. There is also a timing element that will soon become clear. The 11:59 p.m. urgency represented the closing of an old chapter. You have now stepped past that threshold. The new chapter will not begin quietly. It will begin with confirmation that cannot be dismissed as coincidence. Be ready for clarity. Be ready for acceleration. And above all, be ready to walk confidently into rooms you once felt unqualified to enter. Because what is about to manifest will not only change your circumstances, it will change how you see yourself. Stand firm. The evidence is almost in your hands. Awakened one. The moment of undeniable confirmation is approaching, and when it arrives, it will not whisper. It will settle into your reality with a calm authority that leaves no room for coincidence. You have walked through uncertainty with quiet endurance, but now certainty is forming like sunrise on the horizon. There is a shift happening not only around you, but within you. Your thinking is becoming clearer. Your fear is losing its grip. Your prayers feel less desperate and more expectant. That internal change is evidence that you are aligning with what has already been decided in your favor. The wealthy person's final words carry more than instruction. They carried intention shaped by revelation. In their last reflections, they recognized that wealth without purpose fades, but wealth entrusted to someone aligned with divine will multiplies beyond a lifetime. They did not want their resources to remain static. They wanted them to breathe, to move, to continue making impact. And your name rose again and again in that sacred moment. I, Archangel Michael, stood as a witness when the declaration was sealed. The atmosphere shifted immediately. What had been a private decision became a heavenly assignment. That is why the process, though gradual, has been unstoppable. And I'll listen carefully, because this is crucial. The confirmation that is coming will test your composure. It may arrive as a formal notice, a meeting request, a structured offer, or even an official document. When it does, your heart may race. You may feel the urge to react emotionally. But pause. Breathe. Respond with clarity, not chaos. This is not luck. This is alignment. You may also experience a wave of emotion you did not expect. Tears that surprise you. Relief that feels overwhelming. That release is healing. For years, you carried the weight of not knowing when your season would change. Now that change is materializing, your body and spirit are processing the transition. Allow yourself to feel it, but do not let emotion overshadow wisdom. Review every detail carefully. Ask questions when necessary. Seek counsel from those who operate with integrity. This is not distrust. It is stewardship. Heaven entrusts wisely. There is another layer unfolding that you must understand. This gift carries influence. Influence attracts attention. Some will celebrate your advancement sincerely. Others will analyze it quietly. A few may question it. Do not be shaken. You are not responsible for managing everyone's perception. You are responsible for managing your obedience. Remain anchored in gratitude. Remain disciplined in decision-making. Remain prayerful in private. As this transition unfolds, you may feel led to support others more boldly. That impulse is not random. When you are lifted, your perspective widens. You begin to see how your elevation can become someone else's breakthrough. This is how legacy multiplies. If this message is confirming what your spirit already senses, respond now. Type "I step into my NEW season" in the comments if you receive this word with faith. Blessing code 818 has just been released over your path. As you declare it, understand that you are not merely typing words. You are sealing agreement. And as you step into this new season, remember that the light you carry must continue reaching beyond you. When you sow into this mission through super thanks, membership, or through the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a platform. You are releasing seed into fertile ground. The Lord declares, "As you pour into what awakens my children, I will pour back into your storehouse without measure." This is the law of harvest in motion. Your generosity becomes oil that keeps the lamp burning for those still searching for hope. I sense this strongly. I am responding to heaven's invitation right now. Let your action mirror your faith. Do not hesitate when prompted. Those who move quickly in obedience will see swift return. Your support becomes a prophetic echo of the very gift released in your name. Therefore act with boldness. Sow with expectation. Advance this message and watch how heaven advances you. The next unfolding will reveal not only the substance of what has been given, but the exact doorway through which it will enter your daily life. And when that door opens, you will understand why every delay, every tear, and every prayer was leading precisely here. Anointed heart, you are now standing at the threshold where revelation turns into reality. The door that has been forming quietly in the unseen is beginning to take visible shape. What once felt abstract will soon feel structured. What once felt distant will soon feel within reach. There is a reason the confirmation did not arrive all at once. Gradual unfolding protects your stability. Sudden elevation without preparation can overwhelm even the strongest spirit. But you have been conditioned through patience. You have been strengthened through waiting. Now you are steady enough to carry what is entering your hands. The wealthy person's final words were not just about transferring resources. They were about entrusting continuity. They recognized that legacy must live through someone who values purpose more than possession. And that is why you were chosen. You may begin to see patterns forming in your daily life that connect directly to this unfolding. A financial conversation that opens unexpectedly. A professional opportunity that seems timed too perfectly. An introduction to someone positioned to guide you through the next level. These are not coincidences. They are connectors. I, Archangel Michael, remain assigned to guard both the blessing and your path through it. Yet understand this. Guardianship does not remove responsibility. You must move wisely. There will be a defining moment soon when you realize that this is no longer theory. It will likely arrive in a simple setting. Perhaps at your desk. Perhaps during a phone call. Perhaps when reviewing a document. The realization will settle over you quietly but powerfully. It is happening. When that awareness comes, resist the urge to rush ahead with announcements. Protect the early stages. Just as a seed must remain covered before it sprouts fully, some developments grow best without exposure. At the same time, do not shrink back in disbelief. Own your new position with calm confidence. You are not stepping into something stolen. You are stepping into something assigned. There may also be adjustments required in your habits. Financial discipline may need strengthening. Time management may require refinement. Relationships may need reevaluation. Elevation demands alignment in every area. If certain connections begin to feel strained, do not panic. Growth naturally creates separation from environments that cannot accommodate expansion. Not everyone will understand your new pace or priorities. That is part of transition. But remain compassionate. Remain grounded. Remain grateful. The tears of God that once expressed deep compassion are now transforming into celebration. He has watched you endure private battles without public applause. He has seen you maintain integrity when compromise would have been easier. Now he is allowing your life to reflect the fruit of that faithfulness. There is also a deeper spiritual dimension emerging. This gift is not only provision, it is a platform. It will amplify your voice in certain spaces. It will position you where your words carry more weight. Use that influence responsibly. Speak life. Encourage others. Invest in what builds, not what destroys. You may notice increased spiritual sensitivity during this time. Dreams may feel more vivid. Intuition may feel sharper. That is because you are operating in closer alignment with divine timing. Stay attentive, but do not allow over-spiritualization to complicate practical steps. Review contracts carefully. Seek professional guidance where needed. Balance faith with wisdom. This season is about integration. The wealthy person's final act was rooted in clarity. Honor that clarity by moving deliberately. Do not waste what was entrusted. Do not treat it casually. This is sacred stewardship. And remember, the clock that once symbolized urgency now symbolizes transition completed. You crossed the threshold. You responded. You aligned. Now manifestation is following obedience. Something even more specific is about to be revealed. Not just the fact that a gift was released, but the exact form it will take and how it will intersect with a long-held desire you have carried quietly for years. Prepare your heart for that revelation, because when it arrives, it will connect dots you did not even realize were related. Stand steady. The story is reaching its turning point, and what unfolds next will confirm beyond question that heaven was guiding every step. Steady warrior, this is the moment where clarity sharpens into detail. Up until now, you have sensed movement. You have felt alignment. You have witnessed subtle confirmations. But what is about to unfold next will move from general assurance into specific direction. The gift released in your name is taking a defined shape. It is not random provision. It connects directly to something you once desired deeply but slowly stopped speaking about because it felt too distant. A project you set aside. A vision you postponed. A responsibility you wished you could carry more effectively. That quiet desire has not been forgotten in heaven. The wealthy person's final words did more than transfer assets. They unlocked access. Access to spaces you once thought were closed. Access to resources that once seemed reserved for others. Access to conversations where decisions are made. You may soon receive information that points clearly toward this axis. It may involve property, investment, partnership, funding, leadership, or structural support for something you care about deeply. When it becomes clear, you will feel a strange mixture of shock and recognition, as if your spirit says, "This is it." I, Archangel Michael, remain positioned as guardian over this unfolding. There were moments when interference attempted to redirect the outcome, but each attempt was overturned because the authorization did not come from human will alone. It came from divine alignment. Still, hear this carefully. Now that clarity is increasing, opposition may attempt one final distraction. It may not look dramatic. It may come disguised as busyness, as unnecessary conflict, as emotional turbulence. The goal will be simple: to divide your focus at the very moment you need it most. Do not allow it. Guard your time intentionally. Limit exposure to negativity. Silence voices that create confusion. This is not isolation. It is protection of momentum. You may also feel a temptation to downplay what is happening, especially if you are accustomed to humility that borders on self-erasure. True humility does not deny what God is doing. It acknowledges it with gratitude and handles it responsibly. When the official confirmation solidifies, do not rush to celebrate publicly before understanding the full structure. Review terms carefully. Seek wise counsel. Pray before signing or committing. Elevation that lasts is built on careful foundations. And as you stand in this defining stretch, I urge you to take action in another way as well. Like this message if it is strengthening your faith. Share it with someone who feels forgotten or overlooked. Comment your agreement below as a declaration that you are ready to steward what is coming. Subscribe to this channel if you desire to remain aligned with messages that prepare you for divine acceleration. Lift this message so it reaches others who are standing at their own threshold. There is power in collective awakening. And now listen closely. The desire you once buried is about to resurface with structure attached to it. If you once dreamed of launching something meaningful, funding may align. If you once longed to secure stability for your family, provision may crystallize. If you once prayed for influence to make a difference, positioning may unfold. The connection between the wealthy person's final words and your private prayers is about to become undeniable. Do not shrink when the opportunity demands boldness. You have been trained through hardship. You have been refined through waiting. You are capable of carrying this. But capability must be matched with courage. There will be a decision point. A moment when you must say yes. Not passively but decisively. When that moment arrives, remember every season you endured without visible reward. Remember every night you prayed for change. Remember that this was spoken over you before you even knew it was possible. God is no longer weeping in anticipation. He's watching in expectation. And I stand guard not only over what hath been released, but over your resolve to step fully into it. What comes next will reveal the final connection, the precise doorway through which this gift will enter your hands permanently. Hold steady, because the next revelation will remove every remaining doubt and seal this transition with unmistakable confirmation. Beloved overcomer, the final connection is now coming into focus, and when you see it fully, you will realize that nothing in your journey was accidental. Every delay, every closed door, every moment you felt overlooked was positioning you for this precise intersection. The gift released in your name is about to move from confirmation into permanence. Up until now, there have been signals, indications, preparations. But what approaches next will establish stability. It will not be temporary relief. It will be structural change. You may soon encounter a defining interaction that ties everything together. It could be a formal signing, a verified transfer, a leadership appointment, or a secured agreement that carries your name clearly within it. When that moment happens, the weight of it may feel almost surreal. Pause and let it settle. The wealthy person's final words were not spoken casually. They were deliberate, reflective, and anchored in clarity. They had evaluated their life, their impact, their resources, and in that sacred evaluation, they concluded that what they built must empower someone aligned with integrity. As someone was you. I, Archangel Michael, have remained present throughout this process, not as a distant observer, but as a guardian ensuring that interference could not permanently distort what heaven authorized. There were subtle obstacles, administrative complications, human hesitation, yet each one has been gradually cleared. Now you are arriving at the point where there will be no more ambiguity. But listen carefully, because this is critical. When permanence arrives, identity must shift fully. You cannot carry a mindset of limitation into a season of expansion. If you continue thinking like someone who is barely surviving, you will struggle to manage what is meant to establish you. You must accept that you are stepping into a higher level of responsibility. There may also be emotional closure required. Certain seasons of your life are officially ending. Relationships defined by shared struggle may evolve. Environments built around scarcity may no longer fit you. This does not mean you abandon humility. It means you embrace growth. The doorway through which this gift will enter your hands permanently will likely align with something you once considered impossible. A secure financial position, a tangible asset, a funded vision, a structural role that places you in influence. When it locks into place, it will answer questions you stopped asking years ago. You may even remember a prayer you whispered long ago and realize this is the response. Guard your heart in that moment, not from joy but from pride. Gratitude must anchor you deeply. Acknowledge that what has unfolded was not achieved by striving alone. It was orchestrated. There will also be those who observe your stability and quietly wonder how it happened. You are not required to explain the spiritual dimension to everyone. Some will understand, some will not. Your responsibility is not validation, it is stewardship. As permanence settles, begin thinking long-term. Consider investments that secure future generations. Consider causes that align with your values. Consider ways your influence can uplift others who once stood where you stood. This is how legacy multiplies. And understand this. The wealthy person's final act was not about giving you comfort alone. It was about continuing impact. They trusted that you would handle this with wisdom. Honor that trust. You may feel waves of gratitude rise unexpectedly. Love them. You may feel moments of disbelief. Breathe through them. You may even feel a quiet sense of awe. That awe is appropriate. It reflects the sacredness of the process. God's tears at the beginning were tears of compassion over your hidden struggle. Now those tears have transformed into delight over your visible elevation. The final sealing of this transition is near. Once it is complete, you will look back and see that the urgency before 11:59 p.m. was not fear-driven. It was preparation-driven. With the closing of one identity and the opening of another. Remain steady now, because what comes next will not only seal this gift in your hands, it will clarify why you were chosen and what you are meant to build from this point forward. The story is reaching its culmination, and the final revelation will not only confirm your inheritance, it will commission your future. Faithful soul, this is the sealing moment. Everything that has unfolded, every stirring in your spirit, every confirmation, every guarded delay, has led you here. The gift released in your name is no longer forming, is established. The transfer that began with the final words of a wealthy person has now anchored itself into your reality. This is permanence. You may have already seen the evidence, or perhaps it is arriving even now, as you listen. But what makes this moment sacred is not just the gift itself. It is the revelation behind it. You were chosen because of who you are when no one is watching. The wealthy individual, standing at the edge of eternity, could have directed their resources anywhere. They could have chosen status. They could have chosen familiarity. Instead, they chose alignment. They chose integrity. They chose someone whose heart had been refined through hardship. They chose you. I, Archangel Michael, have stood guard over this entire process. From the whisper of your name in their final breath to the movement of decisions in rooms you never entered, heaven has been involved. This was not random generosity. This was divine orchestration. Now the responsibility rests gently but firmly in your hands. This gift is not the finish line. It is the foundation. It is the tool that will allow you to build what you once thought was impossible. It will stabilize what once felt fragile. It will empower what once felt delayed. But hear this clearly. With inheritance comes commissioning. You are not just receiving provision. You are being entrusted with purpose. The tears of God that opened this message were never about sorrow alone. They were about the weight of destiny resting on someone who did not yet realize how valuable they were. Now you know. The urgency before 11:59 p.m. was symbolic of a closing chapter. That chapter has ended. The version of you who questioned your worth, who felt unseen, who wondered if your prayers mattered, that version has stepped aside. You are now standing in confirmation. There will still be challenges ahead. Elevation does not eliminate responsibility. But you will face those challenges from a position of strength, not survival. Guard your heart. Guard your humility. Guard your obedience. Use what has been given to you wisely. Bless others. Build intentionally. Move with integrity. Let your actions reflect the honor of what was entrusted to you. And never forget that this began with a whisper of your name in a sacred moment. If this message has marked your spirit, respond now. Type "I accept my commission" in the comments as a declaration that you will carry this inheritance with wisdom. Blessing code 1212 is now activated over your future. Do not treat those words casually. Speak them as alignment. And as this journey seals, understand something powerful. The same God who moved a wealthy heart to release a gift in your name is still moving through voices like this to reach others standing at their own 11:59 p.m. moment. Scripture declares, "Cast your bread upon the waters, and in due season it will return to you." This is not ancient poetry. It is a living promise spoken over you. When you sow into this mission through super thanks, through membership, or through the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are releasing seed into a harvest of souls. I hear this strongly. I am stepping forward as a builder of light. Let your giving be your prophetic yes. Let it echo the same obedience that released your inheritance. Those who pour into us spreads God's word will see open heavens over their own house. Do not hesitate when the Spirit prompts you. Move boldly, so generously. Advance this mission and watch how heaven advances you. This is the sealing. This is the confirmation. And this is only the beginning of what you are now commissioned to build.